Hello, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Ashley Mal, and if you don't know me, I make videos about healing, trauma, mental health, and loss. Today, I wanted to do a video about a story time that is very important to me. I wanted to talk about the loss of my parents and how I became an orphan at 10. And this is something I feel it's so important for me to start my channel off with because it's so important to me. It's such a huge part of my life and who I am as a person, because growing up without parents, I think honestly shaped me who I am today. I also wanted to make a video because there's other people out there that have gone through similar things, and I just want everyone to know that they're never alone and that there's always someone out there that's going through something similar. And I just really hope that I can create a safe space for people to talk about their trauma and for me to talk about my trauma and us just all support each other together. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I am completely open to questions and comments and concerns and whatever, just any feedback you have in the comments. I will make a video about whatever. If you need me to elaborate on something, I can do that. I'm so open about this. I'm a completely open book. Most of my trauma I think I can very easily talk about, so if that's something you want, please let me know in the comments. Also, I'm so sorry if you can hear a dirt bike in the background. My neighbor is driving all around with a dirt bike. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my story starts in Danville, Pennsylvania, which you probably don't know where that is, but that's where I was born on May 25th. And 8 months after my birth, I experienced my first loss, the loss of my father. Now, I'm pretty sure, you can't quote me on this because my family did not know much about my father's death, so I've just really was never told much, but I believe he passed away from lung cancer. I think he was a very avid smoker. He was in his either late 30s or early 40s. Again, I really don't know much about him. My family didn't talk about him much, didn't know much about him, and as you'll soon find out, my mother died not long after, so she couldn't really tell me much because I was too young to understand, and that's not really a conversation you can have with a 6-year-old that your dad died. But, well, you can, but she didn't. So my mother raised me and my 2 siblings as a single mother, and she was a good one. But unfortunately, a few years later, she fell very ill, and at the time, we didn't know what she was sick with, but we knew there was something wrong with my mother. So my mom got really sick and she couldn't take care of us anymore, so she was in and out of nursing homes. And at this point, my mom was early 40s and she could not take care of us kids anymore. So my oldest brother, he was old enough to move out. He was old enough to do his own thing. My middle-aged brother, who at the time I think was like 14, 15, he was misbehaved and he did not go into foster care with me and my sister. But my sister and I, we stayed in the same foster homes throughout the next couple years. And we would get to go back to my mom's every once in a while when she was well enough to go home, and we would stay in an apartment and we would spend some time with her, and then something terrible would happen and she would have to go back, and then we would have to go back into foster care. So we jumped from home to home for a couple years, and that was really hard. I know as a young, like 6, 7, 8-year-old, all I wanted was my mother. So this was very hard for me and my sister, and we stayed very close throughout the entirety of this because we never saw my brothers, so I missed both of them a lot. We never saw my mom. Well, we would once in a while when she would come home, but then we would have to go back into foster care. We didn't get to visit her very often. So it was very difficult as a young girl to experience that. Me and my sister, I think both, had trouble. But finally, my mom was able to get better and recover and come home for a long while, and a family friend of ours was like, your mom is gonna need that extra help, so why don't the three of you move in with me? So we moved in with a family friend, and they were able to help care for my mother because she was still very sick and very weak, but she was able to live on her own, but she still needed that extra care. And so we moved in with a family friend, and it was really wonderful to see my mom. And it was very hard because me and my sister both knew, we did not know how much time my mother had left, but we knew that it was not much. And that was very difficult for us to kind of try to navigate that we were back with mom, but we didn't know for how long, because we never stayed with mom for long before something would happen. But mom was very sick, mom was very fragile, mom was very brittle, and it was just really sad and a scary time for us because we didn't know what was going to happen. And one terrible, sad night, my mother had a heart attack, and she could not really be resuscitated, and she was on life support for 2 days. And one day, I was about to go into 5th grade, and my brothers all showed up at the house, and they all shared the news that my mother had passed. And we all just held each other for a long time. So I was, I think, 9 and parentless. My mom had passed, my dad had passed. So that was a very scary, hard thing to navigate. So the family friend that we were staying with at the time, they offered to adopt us, and my sister and I were too young to really get a choice. Like, we got a choice, but it was like, what else are we gonna do? Are we gonna go back to foster care? Like, whatever, let's just stay here. Like, yes, you can adopt us. So we got adopted 6 months after my mother's death, and we lived with them until I turned 18 and I moved out, and my sister turned 18 and she moved out. So when my mother passed away, I was like 9. So I like understood, but not fully knew how to process really my emotions, because I never really had like a constant good caregiver in our home, in my life. My older sister did her best to like be a parent figure from a very young age. So that's something that was very difficult for her. But I never had anyone to really foster or show me the correct ways to heal and handle my emotion and regulate my emotions. So I was a very angry, very, very angry child. Like, I was 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 throwing massive temper tantrums over the smallest things, and it was very hard. But other than that, I think I became very numb over the years. Very like, I used humor to cope. I would make dead parent jokes all throughout high school, and I was like, heh. I think it was a way for me to cope with it. It's just make humor out of it. And like, a lot of kids, I feel like in school didn't really know how to be my friend or didn't know how to be around me, because they're like, oh, that's the dead parent girl. I felt like everyone thought I was like fragile and like they had to walk on eggshells around me. But I think it's really given me an opportunity to be more understanding and more mature, definitely, but more like understanding. Like, I try to be very kind and respectful to just everyone, and I know that everyone's going through their own thing, and everyone, goes through stuff that other people have no idea about. So I think it's just taught me to be super kind and but also protecting of my own peace, because I've been through way too much in my life, and I know what it feels like to be really, really, really sad and really, really hurt and really, really lost. So I've learned to like protect myself and just everything, like the death of my parents, and as you'll come to know if you watch my videos, the death of my brothers, and just overall everything that's happened. I feel like it's affected me and messed me up a lot, and that's why I'm here. That's why I wanted to start a healing journey and document it on YouTube. I talked about it a lot in my first video, but it's okay if you didn't watch that. But it's just something that I am ready to heal from. I'm ready to fully experience deep healing, and there are a lot of ways that I do that. I'm open to trying. So again, if you have any questions, any comments, anything you just want me to clear up, I'm so free to talk about it. I'll either answer you in the comments or I'll make a video about it or something. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I just fully love the community here on YouTube. I've gotten so much love and support through my reels, and I'm just so excited to start like this huge healing community and just have that support and give that support out. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free always to reach out to me in the comments and just share your story. I'm always listening. I'm always here. I always support you. I have you. I hear you. And I hope everyone can do the same, because like I said, I want to create such a positive healing community and have us all be here for each other. So thank you so much for watching. Bye!